7.5 billion. Have you ever stopped and thought about that? How big the number is, how powerful, and we're going to get into just how amazing it could be for all humanity. So when you think about billions, right? I mean, just the thought of what is a billion? Well, it's hard for the human mind to actually comprehend that. But here is an estimated 2 billion galaxies. Wow. When you think that the world is almost now at the threshold of 7.5 billion human living souls on this planet, it is absolutely mind-boggling. We don't think about this. But folks, never in post-modern recorded history, and I speak specifically from the deluge forward, and even giving if time frames are off, still there are no records of when our planet held so many living souls. And we're going to talk about this because there is a power that we possess. And we can't do it individually. This power only works when it is connected. And we're going to get into that. But think about this. 7.5 billion living souls, energy. When we think about a billion, think about $1 billion. This is $1 billion. Many people have sold their souls and their children and their posterity for less. Yeah. So when taken in totality, $1 billion by itself is outstanding. Let's listen to what Albert Einstein had to say about energy. Because now that we have equated that there are 7.5 billion living souls on the planet, that's energy, folks, each one of us, right? Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. We're now finding out that this is true. It was theoretical back then. We're finding out that it's becoming reality. I continue. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Albert Einstein. He knew. He saw something. We can now, on the phone today, have the technology in the hands of every human being where we can record and see our living souls. When you can pick it up in a flare, because a flare is just picking up heat. Heat is equated to energy. This is calories. When you burn calories, you are burning energy. Energy can be equated as well in not only just heat, of which we can see, but it can be measured in kilowatts. And kilowatts has power, and it can be seen, and it can be measured. When we created these things. We created the ability now to fly. Now, I do recognize that there is those technologies that exist by others, but this is what we created. Mankind created this. We built it. We also put the fuel into it. But look at it. In the infrared, it can still pick up energy. We can stand next to something that we've created, such as an automobile, and the engine that what? Yes, it makes energy. It takes energy, converts energy, and produces energy. Same things what a living soul does, but we don't need an artificial device. And it's that individual power that we all have that is part of the key that unlocks this unlimited possibility. But we continue. Tesla said it best. He said that the thought of a single being, if it could be measured and captured, would be the most powerful element or source of energy. Tesla was right. He knew something. And I believe as well that if we, as a species, as multiple races, ever come together and understand that what we possess collectively by each individual contributing to a thought is the biggest threat of the gods that are out there. And we're going to discuss gods because it's biblical, yes, but I believe that this is the single biggest threat. And this video is dedicated to show you why the situation that we are in today has been purposely done to us. It is the equivalent to rape. It's exactly what it is. Our species was raped and then enslaved by a God that we worship. You're going to see why this is the single biggest threat. So just doing some math and figuring, all right, if we could assign 1 BTU, that's a British thermal unit, to each human being, that they produce 1 BTU per hour. All right, so that would be 7.5 billion BTUs per hour. And here is the mathematical equation. Power would be the kilowatt would be equal to the power of the BT unit divided by 3412.142. All right. So you would take the equation and basically take 7.5 billion BTUs divided by 3,412.142. That would equal 2,198,032.79 kilowatt per hour. Multiply that by 24. That's 52,752,786.96 kilowatts per day. Do you realize how much power that is? Folks, that is a power that we could literally, if we could capture, and if we had the knowledge in which to basically capture this thermal energy and convert it into kilowatts, we would have an unlimited power supply. And the laws of thermodynamics must apply whenever energy is present. So this is physical science, physical law we're talking about. All right. So now you think 52.8 million kilowatts every day and growing. Now I can assure you there is a knowledge that is possessed that would know this already. You know, maybe the Matrix had it right. With the fact that in the future, that the machines will be harvesting us. We know this. We know that each one of us today, because of the immersion and the constant bathing of electromagnetic energy, it is basically interrupting our energy. And you can actually see that these are pictures of people using Wi-Fi. So it really is the reality. The Matrix has us. But my question is, who is the Matrix? Because oddly enough, here is art now imitating life. I believe that the gods feared this more than anything else. This vision that they could see into the future. And they realized we possessed the same thing they did. to become gods just as they are. And I'm going to show you this by what most people use in Christian theology, what I grew up with, studied it. So what are they afraid of? Yeah, you think about this. There is a reason, and we're going to get into it a lot more. I have shown you, and I will continue to show you, that there have been multiple intrusion of the gods. Yes, even the Christian Bible, the Hebraic sacred text, the Chaldean text, you want to go back, speak of gods. Not monotheism, polytheism. There is no foundation for monotheism other than, other demigods. So let's just take a look at this, right? This is Genesis 11. And I'll read this. And the whole earth, by the way, this is the King James, and the whole earth was one language and of one accent and mode of expression. And as they journeyed eastward, they found a plain, a valley, in the land of Shinar, and they settled down and dwelt there. Folks, if you don't know what Shinar is, that's the Sumerians, folks. Throughout the Old Testament, it is replete with references to the gods and the beings of Shinar, of Sumer. All right, we'll continue. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly," so that they had brick for stone and bitumen. Now, bitumen for mortar. It's pitch. That's what it is. Tar. In fact, they have actually found the archaeological digs from back into this time period of about 22 BCE. And the pitch is still there, still works. All right, let's continue. And they said, "Come, let us build us a city and a tower whose top reaches into the sky, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over the whole earth." Now, there's a lot to this. Now, understand that the Semitic text came from the Chaldeans. And the Semitic text is the Hebrews. And then through many different transliterations now, it became adaptive into the Christian story. Okay, so just so you know. But to make a name for ourselves, there's a lot to this. But let's go on. And the Lord, now I put in there, this word literally translates Baal. You may not like it, but that's what it translates out to. And Lord Baal, the Lord, came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men, go to Genesis 6 to refer on that, had built it. Now, this is the Elohims who created in Genesis 1, but it is not the same Elohims in Genesis 2. The Genesis 2 God is different than the Genesis 1 God. It's just the way it is, folks. I mean, you can do your word studies and you will see that that's exactly the case. All right, let's go on. And the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. And now nothing they have imagined they can do will be impossible for them." You know, folks, this is where I get PO'd. Because you will see this is a direct assault on our species by a supposed God that somehow or another began to fear us. Let's go on. "Come, let us." That is not the Trinity, folks. Listen, the Semitics did not believe in the Trinity, so it would never have been into the text. If you want to get real specific about this, it is most likely in the translations referring to Anu, Enki, and Enyo. Be just candid with you. But it says, "Let us go down and there confront mix up, confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Folks, this is my commentary. I say, is this more evidence of an alien life force deliberately altering our species? I believe that this is more like humans are slaves and not permitted to obtain our true destiny. And I reference to this Genesis 2:5, where it says, no man was here to till the soil. That sounds like a slave to me. Doesn't sound like a benevolent God. This, folks, is what has screwed us up. And who takes responsibility for this? Let's go on. So the Lord scattered them abroad from that place upon the face of the whole earth, and they gave up building the city. Therefore the name of it was called Babel, because there the Lord confounded the language of all the earth, and from that place the Lord scattered them abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So here's my commentary. So they alter our brains in an instant. How was this done, number one? And again, it was an attack on our species. So I ask, who's responsible for the condition of man? We didn't do this to us. And here is what's been the problem with our mindset, folks. We continually fail to understand that we have every reason to be pissed off and to hold the gods liable and accountable for this. Now, let's read this from the Chaldean, where this story that we just read in Genesis 11 came from. And here it is. They say that the first inhabitants of the earth, glorying in their own strength and size and despising the gods, undertook to build a tower whose top should reach the sky, in the place where Babylon now stands. But when it approached the heaven, the winds assisted the gods and overturned the work upon its contrivers. And its ruins are said to be still at Babylon to this day. And the gods introduced a diversity of tongues among men, who till that time had all spoken the same language. And a war arose between Cronus and Titan. I bet it did. I'll finish out. The place in which they built the tower is now called Babylon, on the account of the confusion of the tongues. For confusion is by the Hebrews called Babel. Folks, why? Why did the so-called creators, after they done wiped us out with the flood, right? I mean, you know, we're suffering one assault after the next, right? And now the ultimate. Why? What were the gods so afraid of? That is what I'm asking. And you should ask yourself. So the gods caused the division of our species. What gives with that? What benevolent deity, knowing that this would cause wars, racial hatred, religious bigotries? Why? Why? I'll tell you why. This was a declaration of war against all humans, plain and simple. To deliberately come in and alter the genetics. Listen, you have to ask yourself, how is this done in a moment of time? The technology to do this? Think about it, folks. And if they did it to us before, how many times have they done it to us in the past? Wiped our memory clean. Think about that. Why do you think we must remain divided? Because if the day ever comes, remember what the Master said, a house divided against itself? That goes back to the time of Solomon. It goes back to the time of antiquity. We know this. If a married couple is divided, divorce. If a family is divided, if a nation is divided, if a species is divided, it leads to chaos, Babel. Remember, each person is generating energy. Let's focus back now on why they did this to us. Do you know the medical journal now knows how the human body creates electricity? It does. Your body creates electricity. So if it can create electricity, we can then make the assumption electrical could be associated by thought. We know the brain generates an electrical signal. You can convert body heat into electrical energy. They now have this. DARPA has it. When you think that the human touch can heal, we have it within ourselves, the ability to heal by touch. That's not a religious thing. They hijacked it. It's how we were created. So, where is all this energy going? That's the question I have. Now, we know there is a physical law that this planet not only absorbs energy, but also produces energy. It's our magnetopause. I mean, we see it all around us. This is how we live. From the sun, to the carbon dioxide, to the oxygen, to the trees, to the plant life, to the animal life. And then we consume this, and then it decomposes. And once again, releases methane, right? Think about it. It is the power that this planet naturally produces, as does the life on this planet. And here's the remarkable thing, folks. It doesn't matter what type of life that is. It could be plant life, it could be animal life, human life. But us humans, we hold and possess the most powerful energy known in the universe, and that is the power of thought. Our thoughts can create, and that is a fact. So when you think about thought as a system, look what David Brohm had to say. Thought is a system of reflexes. What is a reflex? Knee jerks when it hits the bone. That is a reflex. Similarly, most of our thoughts are reflexes to the environment we are in. When the car ahead suddenly brakes, the foot presses the brake like a reflex. If my boss gets mad at me, then certain thoughts spring up. Many of these reflexes are serving useful functions as they help us sit, walk, write, drive, and carry out umpteen other tasks and effortlessly. However, thought as a system also has a systematic flow that perpetuates conflict like war, oppression, depression, and corruption. Are you seeing this, folks? Now, this is the human brain, folks. Can you see the articles? We can measure the thought. We can measure the energy. Here's an EKG. Look at this. Your heart produces an electronic signal. Your brain, this is an EEG, produces an electrical signal, as does your muscles. We can measure this. Everything is energy. Your thought begins it. Your emotions amplify it, and your actions increase its momentum. We have got to learn to break out of the thought loop that we have been induced in. And I believe that this induction to this insidious process is recorded. We just never looked at it like this. By the way, what was the sin that man had done? Seriously, what sin? So we wanted to build a skyscraper. We're doing it today, folks. Think about this. What the gods fear the most is us coming together and uniting in thought and unity and purpose. The cognitive triangle, folks, remember, thoughts have effect on feelings, which is behavior. Behavior have effect on thoughts. It is the triune thing, folks. All of us have this. And my God, I'll tell you, if the mass of humanity as a species ever comes in unity, watch out, folks. It is the thing that they are afraid of. Imagine a single day where every single human being is united in thought. It's power beyond measure. The kind of power that can move a planet. It's a constant, unlimited source of power that those that have the knowledge know. have known. It's a creating kind of power, the power that could change what was done to us. I ask you, could we make it happen? A day of unity for humanity? Could we come together? The energy of 7.5 billion thoughts coming together at the same time. I want you to seriously give this thought, and if you've watched it to the end, thank you. Because maybe you will help pass this message on. Maybe we could come into a unity day and maybe do it as an experiment. Listen, we've done this in the world for Earth Day. What if we did the same thing where we took 60 seconds out on the world and everyone unified in nothing more than love for humanity, a single thought. And only if half of humanity contributed, participated, what would happen? The God said if man came together, there was nothing we could not do. Nothing. What do you think would happen if we did? Let me know.